You don't draft a running back in the top 3 unless you're right there on the borderline of being a Super Bowl contender and your weakness was your running game. And Cleveland Dash says Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith wasn't the reason why they won the Super Bowl, okay? That was because of their defense and arguably the best offensive line in NFL history, okay? That's why the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. Emmitt Smith was a part of the Super Bowl, but Emmitt Smith wasn't the main reason why they won the Super Bowl. You ever hear of Michael Irvin? You ever hear about Troy Aikman? Have you ever hear about the defensive guy, the Ronnie Lotts and the players
Charles
that they
Haley,
had? Give me a break.
Also, Cleveland.
Deion Sanders.
Cleveland, also, it's a different era of football. Top running backs were a big part of championship teams in the 20th century. Not as much now, where you see more platoons and really the offensive strategy in a passing league. Outside of Seattle and maybe the Steelers with Jerome Bettis at the end of his career, you don't see as many of those teams with quote-unquote feature backs win championships to that same one. The Rams did it with Marshall Faulk. That's, again, beyond that, it's not really much. The Patriots platoon running backs, the Giants, like all these teams platoon these running backs.
Mm-hmm. He says, if Emmitt Smith did not come back for the Cowboys, we're not going anywhere. They were not going anywhere without the running game.
Which is fair, but again,
that's not true. That's not true. That really isn't true, because that defense was as good as any defense we've seen in 10 years when they were dominant, when they won those 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. That defense was good. And I'm telling you, that was the best offensive line in NFL history. The best offensive line. And they had arguably the best corner in NFL history in Deion Sanders. So I don't know what you're talking about, Cleveland. As good as Emmitt Smith was, Emmitt Smith wouldn't have been as good as he was if he played for anybody but the Cowboys. If you played him with the Jets, or you put him on the Giants, or you put him on any of those teams, you think Emmitt Smith would have the numbers he had when he played behind that offensive line? The answer is no.
Yes, and even if he wasn't still a great running back, he wouldn't have been the leading rusher.
He was a great running back.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been the leading rusher all time. He wouldn't have been the 3-time champion that he was. It wasn't the only reason. And again, going back to what I was saying, 20th century football, they relied on the run game more versus now. It still matters, but it's not something where you have to invest all your money in terms of a roster structure type thing.
Go look at the schedule that year. Here's the thing. And Cleveland, I'm going to tell you this. Go look at the offensive line. There were 4 out of the 5 players on that offensive line were Hall of Famers, okay? Hall of Famers, okay? That's how good that offensive line was. I could have played behind that offensive line and ran over 1,000 yards a season, okay? That's how good that offensive line was. Offensive line is predicated, running games are predicated behind the offensive line. And the offensive line, that was the greatest offensive line in NFL history. Go look at top offensive lines in history. I guarantee you, on any single mark, you go to Bleacher Report, or any of the top 5 running offensive lines in NFL history.
They're easily in there.
They're the number one in almost every single one of them. So to say that Emmitt Smith was the reason why they won a Super Bowl, he was a part of it. They had Michael Irvin, they had Deion Sanders, they had a great defense. They had arguably one of the best safeties in NFL history in Ronnie Lott. They were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal in the 90s. So to say it was because of Emmitt Smith it's ludicrous. Mm-hmm. Ludicrous. And you're a Cowboy fan, Beef.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was all Emmitt Smith. He had a lot of big moments too that helped them, but
I didn't say that he didn't.
I didn't say that you said that, but again,
I don't think it was Emmitt Smith the reason why they won those 3 Super Bowls. Here's the thing. You could have give me a running back in the 90s that was decent.
That was decent?
Just give me a running back just off the head.
Otis Anderson.
Otis Anderson. If you put Otis Anderson on that team, they would have won the Super Bowls. They would have. If you put Corey Dillon on those, they would have won Super Bowls. That offensive line was dominant.
Yeah, I know it was.
It was dominant. That defensive line was even more dominant. Could you imagine going to practices every single day and playing with that defense and offensive line?
It's probably one of the top 5 defenses of all time, probably.
They were unbelievable.
We interviewed one about 3 weeks ago. He was saying how good they were, that defense.
By the way, John Ferris says, perfect example, Barry Sanders. Great running back, terrible team. Yeah. By the way, Ezekiel Elliott cannot run behind the same offensive line, by the way. All right, so.
Thank you, John Ferris, for letting us throw that jab in there.
He said, Cleveland says, I'm not saying.
Maybe I need to send you back to the hospital.
Go ahead, Speedy. Read off what he's saying.
Cleveland says, I'm not saying it was all Emmitt. I was just saying without the running game, the Cowboys would not winning that Super Bowl, and I understand that, but Emmitt's backup, that's the problem. Okay. Yeah, okay. We're not denying that, but again, they still had so much talent where they can still win in other ways.